Alright, so I've got the Ford parts here, brand new, in the pack still, wheel speed sensors. What do you guys think? Is it gonna fix this car? I'm iffy, I don't know. I think so, but I don't know yet. But let's quickly go over what's been done to this thing again. I talked to the car lot that owns the car. They had some detailed notes, but not a whole lot, because most of everything's been done at other mechanic shops and they don't really have accurate parts or anything. But there has been 3 sets of wheel speed sensors put in this car. Both rear hubs have been replaced in the car. ABS modules been replaced, and then also the rear wheels have been replaced. They've still got, I've already showed you the ABS module once, but in the back here is the original wheels. Somebody told them the wheels were bent and that was causing the issue. Kind of far-fetched to me, but they did not know 100% if Ford parts had ever been put in this thing. So I told him, I was like, look, I've checked wires, everything seems to be fine wiring wise. It's fussing saying it's an incorrect sensor, so I'm getting Ford sensors and putting in this. And they said okay. So let's get this thing jacked up, swap these sensors, and see what happens. So just a quick comparison here. This is the new Ford one. You can see it's got part number there. It says Ford Motor Company in the middle there. This one, nothing at all anywhere on it. No part numbers, no nothing. You can also see there's the little polarity sign right there, so you know that that pin is positive and that's the ground side. This one I don't think has any kind of label like that at all anywhere on it, but it's also clearly an aftermarket part, whereas this is clearly a Ford one. So let's see what happens with them. All right, moment of truth. Got the sensors back in, getting the scan tool connected back up. Let's see what happens here. All right, so we got our codes, and I've got a battery voltage code here. I'm not sure if my battery is getting weak or what. It says 11 volts, but let's clear these. And I do remember in service information it said that we had to drive over 20 kilometers or 12 miles an hour, something like that, for it to really do a self-test. I'm not real sure, but we see we got a green here, but let's go into it and do like a rescan, see what it does. Because before we could just like rescan it right here and it would show the codes right back if it was still messed up, or since it was still messed up, and we get these same 2 codes right back. Let's get some live data pulled up. Let's get it running. We'll drive it. Not looking very good though. All right, got the scan tool graphing the wheel speed sensors, and let's see if test drive shows anything different. Before, when I test drove, the rears wouldn't show anything, and they're still not showing anything. It doesn't look like. But we're going to do the over 12 miles an hour just to make sure. So far they're not doing anything. Not looking too promising. Not looking good at all. Wait for some traffic to clear. So we're over the 12 mile an hour, over 20 mile an hour now. Rear wheel speed sensors are showing nothing in data. I think we've got a software issue. What do you guys think? This one is turning out to be much more confusing than I would have originally thought. Well, I had to take me a break from this Ford for a little bit. Had to let my mind just clear away from it, come back to it a little fresh. Bad thing is I picked a bad day to do it. The car was solid ice today because we got a little bit of a snow in last night, but it's been sitting in here. It's thawed out enough to where I could clear the cowl off. My game plan is to get to the ABS module, which is kind of down in under behind the battery, so all of that stuff's got to come out. To get that out, you got to take the cowl off. So that's the game plan. Get down there to the ABS module, and what I want to do is test the circuits for any kind of resistance from the circuit to any other circuits, and battery ground, battery positive, just any kind of cross kind of resistance. With the ABS module unplugged, the only resistance I should see would be from one pin of the speed sensor wire to the other pin of the speed sensor wire. I shouldn't see anything else. If I do, that means I've got some kind of very small short to another circuit, which could be affecting that amplitude that the ABS module is seeing. So that's just where my brain has went with this. I have a friend, Justin, that had a 2014 Focus Titanium just like this. I had him pull the as-built data on the ABS module. His build doesn't have active park assist, just like this one. And we both had the same as-built data in the ABS module, so I'm not thinking it's a programming software issue. I really am starting to think the ABS module, even though it says it looks at voltage in a square wave pattern, I'm pretty sure it's going to be working off of current flow. It's looking at how much current is flowing on that circuit, and if there's some resistance to another circuit at all, it's going to change that. And this is a tiny bit of current, like probably 50 milliamps or so, like very, very low current. So I'm going to just make sure I don't have any kind of short to another wire, and that's where I'm going. Well, there's the pile of parts to get to the ABS module, and I'm already seeing something I'm not really liking. Yep, that there is a butt connector. I was never told about any kind of wiring mess down there, but sometimes that's what you find. I don't know if that's going to cause the issue or not. I don't know what that circuit is, but we've definitely got to do some investigation now. What if they potentially have the wires crossed or something? I don't know. The butt connector itself could be causing some resistance in the circuit, throwing off current readings. I guess that's where I'm going though. I also noticed a little nest here. Granted, this is like up in the cowl area, so it's completely separate from down here. But what if whatever built that nest caused that issue right there? All right, just for sake of trying, I've got this. Supposedly is the original ABS module to the car. Got it plugged up. I've already went through both sets of wires with the ohm meter, checking every circuit to power, ground, other circuits going to that harness. None of them have any kind of continuity between any other pins other than the mating speed sensor wire. But with the original module plugged up, we still get the same codes. This one is a frustrating head scratcher. I've still got that butt connector in there, but I'm not necessarily thinking that butt connector is going to be the issue, simply because I've only found the one wire, that one butt connector. None of the other wires are messed up at all. It's just this one butt connector. I've took the harness apart, like looked at it down through here. I can't find anything wrong with it, but I'm going to take the butt connector out of it, solder in the wire together. I'm just not expecting that to make any difference though. This one's a hard one. I don't understand this. How could this be this hard? Oh man. They're making modules and sensors and everything too ticky nowadays. Like, sometimes you need to probably just dial it down a little bit. This stuff is just getting too sensitive. I don't really like doing this, but sometimes you just got to be creative and just do something you don't really want to do. Since I had to cut the butt connector out here, I went ahead and cut the other wire here just to run my own leads to one of the sensors. Okay, here's the wire that was cut. I've already got it soldered together down here because I was gonna have to extend it out to connect it back to the butt connector side here. So got alligator clipped there. Code scan shows my rear right incorrect component, my rear left circuit open or shorted the battery. All right, so here's my other alligator clip that goes to my sensor. So circuit is open. Let's take this and alligator clip this on here. We're gonna clear this again. And then this is going to change. We'd like for this to go away, but it's not going to. See, now we're to 37, rear left, incorrect component installed right here. So definitely not a wire issue. This really looks like two modules are bad in the same way. That seems really unlikely and really crazy. But it's kind of just where it's taking me. The data is telling me that module's bad. But I'm going to first verify powers and grounds to this module, and I gotta make a choice to continue a rabbit hole chase or do I put a module in it? All right, let's just quickly run through these powers and grounds real fast. I've got battery hooked up to basically give a little bit more power up here. Power supply set on 13.7. I've got the key on, and right now I'm in the ignition turn on circuit, and you can see the voltmeter here says 13.2. Let's give it a 2 amp load. It's only a 5 amp circuit, so 2 amps is plenty. You see we dropped to 12.9. That's not a whole lot. So 13, we'll call that 3 to 13 volts. So we dropped 0.3 of a volt. I'm not too concerned with that, because if I move these leads up here, I'm gonna have to hold this somehow. I'm not really sure how to set this up here. If I have move my meter here, let's see, there you go, and I just take my leads and touch them to my battery cables here, you can see it still drops to 13 volts. So that tells me my voltage drop from the connector down here isn't significant at all, because I have the same voltage drop here. So if I unplug that, you see 13.3, plug my light bulb back in on the 2 amps, 13 volts, 12.9. So that tells me down here things are good for the turn on wire in the ground wire. So now let's switch this over. We'll do the higher powered sides. Okay, we're going to use I think this is an H13 bulb with my 2 filaments stacked. This gives me like right at 10 amps. So we'll pin one side in here, and this thing's got 2 powers, 2 constant powers, and they're higher current. So one's a 40 amp circuit, one's a 30. So on the meter here you can see 12.9. Give it the full current, 12.2. So remember 12.2. Swap over to the other circuit, 13.3, and then 12.2. So that's about a volt drop. You'd think that's probably bad, but it's really not. Because like I said, my voltage drop is going to be like on the battery itself. Let me clamp these leads in here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so we're at that kind of got the voltage up just a little bit more, but we're at 13.5. So if I put my 10 amp in here, 12.5, 12.6, so I still have about a volt drop from basically through my leads to the meter is about a volt drop. So that little bit of voltage drop is probably induced from me and not the circuits here. So that tells me the circuits there are good. So what are we left with? Do we have a bad module? I'm going to actually get 1, maybe even 2 of the other sensor, the one that doesn't pull up for this VIN number, and I'm going to put it in this car, and I'm going to see if maybe the parts catalog is just wrong. Maybe the Ford part numbers got labeled wrong, because the number is the same other than the first letter. One of them I think was a J and one of them's an L, or maybe a P and an L. I can't remember, but I looked it up on RepairLink shop and found the two part numbers. The part number the Ford dealership gave me for this VIN number, and then I also just looked up the other number. And so I'm going to get the Ford dealership to get me the other number. I'm going to plug it into this car and see if the code goes away then. If not, we're getting a module. So we'll see what happens when I get a sensor. This is the other part number for the opposite sensor, and it actually does look slightly different. I'll just open this. I'm putting one sensor in, even though I've got two. I'm putting one in to see if it works. Okay. This one has a little notch in it. The sensor by the VIN number does not have a notch in it. Okay, these are both Ford sensors. Let's see, where is the Ford logo thing? Right there, Ford Motor Company. And of course you just see me get this out of the bag, but Ford Motor Company down in there. So they are visually different. Flat and this little weird notch cut in it. So is this going to fix our problem? Let's put one of them in, see what happens. All right, so you can see we've got the one the part or the VIN calls for, the one that's flat, and we're going to go in here, just double check. I know the code's going to be here, but you know, formalities and all. So there's our codes. If we hit clear codes, yes, these are going to come right back. I know you've already seen this probably like 100 times, but I just want to make sure I get all this in one shot. If this sensor fixes it, I don't actually know yet. So incorrect, incorrect. All right. So get y'all kind of situated here. And then new sensor with the notch. So new sensor with the notch. Let's see, cross your fingers. What do you think is going to happen? Is it going to fix it? God, I hope so. I'm tired of working on this car. Okay. Fault memory cleared. Let it rescan here. Please only be one code. No. Still the same codes. What the hell? I'm going to still install the sensor, do the initialization, and drive it and just see. I mean, this is getting ridiculous. All right, so in the special functions under this initialization, none of these even really say anything about wheel speed sensors, but key off or key on, engine off. Let's see. Let's just run through these. I don't know that's going to make any difference. What are you guys thinking? Do we have two modules that are bad? I don't know, but that one done. Turn the key off. Just get the key back on. Run to the next one. I just don't really know where to go with this. I know I didn't show it on video, but I checked the circuits between everything else in that connector. I checked it to ground, checked it to power. There is no path at all to any other circuit that I could see can test. Like, it just doesn't make sense. I don't feel like there's... Oh, sorry. This one completed successfully. I accidentally cleared it, and I didn't turn the key off, but oh well. Not too worried about it. We're going to keep going through this. I just can't wrap my head around this. The wires themselves don't appear to have any continuity to any other circuit. If it had anything, I would think would see it in a path to power or ground. Even like if it's millions of ohms, like, you know, if it's reading in the millions of ohms, that means there's some kind of path there. But I read OL, which is open loop, means there is no path at all. So the wires appeared to be intact from the module to the sensor. Plus, you know, I also showed where I cut the wire and wired a sensor directly to the wires at the module and still got the same code. Just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So, got all those initializations done. Let's read the codes. I'm sure they're still going to be there. Yep, still there. Let's drive it and see if we get wheel speed sensor like movement this time. I doubt I will, but that's where I'm at. I mean, I'm not left with a whole lot to go off of here. Alright, so we're going to graph them, and I've got the new sensor in the right rear. So I'm really looking for the right rear to have some kind of mile per hour reading. So no, not yet. You can see the fronts have some movement, but not the rear still. The procedure does say it's got to be over 13 mile an hour or 12 mile an hour, something like that. I think that's not accurate. I think I would already be seeing some mile per hour reading, because I mean, why would I have to get to 13 mile an hour before a wheel speed sensor starts to read when the others are doing perfectly fine? So yeah, there, 20 mile an hour, nothing. So that's two different sensors. I mean, really, that's a bunch of different sensors, a bunch of aftermarkets, two different factory sensors, still not fixed.